Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, February 23, 2022. The COVID-19 containment measures that have been in effect for the almost 2 years of the pandemic are likely to come to an end in 3 weeks' time as government announces a further relaxation of the measures until then. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement during a virtual press briefing at Jamaica House yesterday evening.
We have 3 weeks of these measures left. And then at the end of 3 weeks, it is quite likely that we will bring the measures to an end.
He says the decision to delay the ending of the measures is, in large part, driven by the objective to resume face-to-face learning after the midterm break for all children, many of whom cannot get vaccinated as they're below age 12. In the meantime, the COVID containment measures have been significantly relaxed to allow for more economic and social activity. Effective this Friday, February 25, until March 17, the daily curfew is now from midnight to 5 a.m. Up to 100 persons can now attend funerals and burials, which are still only permitted between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. The maximum number of persons for events hosted by public sector entities, weddings, and annual general meetings of companies is also 100. The Prime Minister says the ease in restrictions reflects the recent rapid improvement in all COVID indicators.
Our daily case count has been decreasing steadily and is now back to the level we had in mid-December 2021, prior to the start of our fourth wave. Our average daily number of new hospital admissions has also been declining. Our COVID-related hospitalizations are now less than 50% of our COVID bed capacity.
He, however, hastened to caution that the pandemic is not over, and while government acknowledges the fatigue in the society, it's important to retain a balance between the continued public health risk and the need for greater economic and social engagement. As a result, Mr. Holness says the wearing of masks in public spaces is still required, adding that even when the Disaster Risk Management Act is removed, this is likely to remain a public health requirement until it is certain that we are out of the pandemic. Meanwhile, the government has relaxed the requirements for travel into Jamaica. Effective Tuesday, March 1, persons no longer need to obtain a travel authorization through the Jam COVID or Visit Jamaica platforms.
We are, at this time, maintaining the existing pre-test requirement for a negative PCR or antigen test conducted within 3 days prior to travel. We are aware that obtaining pre-tests is becoming more difficult and expensive in some jurisdictions. We are therefore reviewing whether or not we should maintain this requirement or modify it.
Travel-related quarantine requirements will also be eliminated on March 1.
I hasten to add that we are still strongly recommending and encouraging persons to limit their movements for at least 5 days after returning from travel. In particular, I urge persons who have traveled to distance themselves from those who are most at risk persons who are 60 years and over, persons with comorbidities.
The isolation requirement remains in effect for persons who test positive for COVID-19. Still on COVID-related matters, Cabinet will be reviewing a plan for the resumption of entertainment events at its next meeting on Monday. The plan, which is now being finalized, will be presented by the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Desmond McKenzie.
We're very concerned that the entertainment sector has been so badly hit, particularly the formal sector. So it's not just about reopening, it's also about how we offer support to the industry to return and to return safely.
The Prime Minister indicated that it was likely that the present protocols requiring persons to be vaccinated for attendance at large events would form part of the plan.
The position, based upon science and advice, public health science and advice, is that it is best to have only vaccinated persons gather en masse. I'm not of a mind or of a view that says that unvaccinated people should be discriminated against. But in the balance of trying to just make sure that we do not see a recurrence and a surge, there are just some things that we have to carefully do.
In other news, Cabinet has approved a 28.5% increase in the national minimum wage effective April 1 this year. Minister of Labour and Social Security Carl Samuda made the announcement during a digital press conference on Tuesday. The rate now moves from $7,000 to $9,000 per 40-hour workweek. The minimum wage for industrial security guards will also increase from $9,700 to $10,500 per 40-hour workweek. The accompanying allowances for security guards are also improving. Their laundry allowance is now $47.62 per hour. The firearm premium allowance has increased to $51.95 per hour, and dog handlers' premium allowance will be increased to $35.72 per hour. Life insurance with double indemnity protection and dismemberment coverage will also go up from $2.75 million to $2.97 million.
The necessary orders will give effect to these increases when it is tabled in the House, which will take place as soon as the House convenes from the recess that we are now on.
Minister Samuda says that while it was hoped the minimum wage could have been further increased, it depends largely on the pace at which the Jamaican economy recovers.
We thank God for the pace that it has recovered so far, and we have expectations that things will improve to enable this benefit to even be more meaningful in the near future.
In the meantime, the minister is urging employers to compensate their workers at levels higher than the minimum wage where they can.
This is the minimum wage, and there are many people who use this as a guide, but it does not constitute the wage that you are expected to pay. If you can do more and you help, as many do, those who work for you that fall into these categories, then by all means, certainly, effort should be made to do that.
And finally, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service has finalized its 12-month wage agreement with public sector workers who have signed on to the 4% increase plus incentives. The Jamaica Police Federation is the latest group to accept the offer. Portfolio Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the overall process is now 98% complete, with administrative work accounting for the remaining 2%. He says the agreement reached with the different public sector groups is a testament to social cohesion.
To think that together through dialogue and discussion, we've been able to achieve agreement with bargaining groups and unions representing 98% of public sector workers with today's signing is a testimony to the social cohesion of the Jamaican society.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Corporal Rohan James, says that while the group is not satisfied, they're making a sacrifice in the interest of national security.
We are going to ensure that we hold true to form and the government accountable and to its word when the government posits that we will benefit significantly from the compensation review implementation, and the Federation will ensure that at the end of the day, the membership gets what they so desire in the interest of all parties and the people of Jamaica.
The 2021-22 Heads of Agreement was put forward by the Finance Ministry to allow government to carry out its compensation review process. The review is intended to overhaul the structure of salaries and other emoluments in the public service to make them more equitable. Implementation is slated for this year. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.